Hello, dear ladies and gentlemen. It's another live stream of mine. For those who don't know, Basil Milenkovic. I'm a marketing agency owner from Austria, Europe. I testing live streaming technology a little bit for my agency, going through all kind of stuff to see how it works. I enjoy and appreciate you guys being here. If someone sees this, or if this goes into the void, who knows? Who knows? Um, with that, I'll be jumping right into it. Usually, I go through content, give feedback, go through studies, white papers, research materials, trends in the marketing world, be it email marketing, content marketing, PPC, whatever. Right now, I'm just going to jump right into working because I've got a few things that I need to get done and finished. And later on in the day, I will be doing these live stream stuff where I go through the articles and everything. But right now, I'll just be jumping right into the work section of the stream. You won't see the chat. I can see the chat. I will be online all the time. I'm live, but at the same time, I'm letting old content run so that you can see, for example, the articles I read from the last week and all those different clips, so that even if I don't actively talk to you, you still have feedback stuff. You will learn something if you're curious about it, and you can always ask me about stuff. I might not react immediately, might be a few minutes until I react because I might miss that you sent something. And with that, I'll be jumping right into it. Let's get it on. Just make the mistake to put most graphics, videos, and all this expensive stuff in there instead of saying. And with that, we'll jump right into the article. All right. Google's new Movera algorithm improves search. All right. Written by Roger Monti. Google's new multi-vector retrieval algorithm, Movera, improves search speed and performs better on complex queries. Well, going to be curious about that. For SEO purposes, and I think it's always very interesting and very well to know what kind of technical algorithms are even being used. Yep, we're recording everything. Google announced a new multi-vector retrieval algorithm called Movera that speeds up retrieval and ranking and improves accuracy. The algorithm can be used for search recommender systems like YouTube and for natural language processing (NLP). Although the announcement did not explicitly say that it is being used in search, the research paper makes it clear that Movera enables efficient multi-vector retrieval that appears suitable for large-scale applications by reducing the problem to single vector MIPS, MIPS, allowing the use of off-the-shelf retrieval systems, existing infrastructure, and achieving lower latency and memory usage. Vector embedding in search. Vector embedding is a multidimensional representation of the relationships. Wait, I hear a knocking. Let me just check it out. So, I hope that will work better. Where were we? Vector embedding is a multidimensional representation of the relationships between words, topical and phrases. Words, topics, and phrases. It enables machines to understand similarity through patterns such as words that appear within the same context of phrases that mean the same things. Words and phrases that are related occupy spaces that are closer to each other. The words King Lear will be close to the phrase Shakespeare tragedy. The words A Midsummer Night's Dream will occupy a space close to Shakespeare's comedy. Both King Lear and A Midsummer Night's Dream will be located in a space close to Shakespeare. Okay, I assume this will be a bit complex for people. Let me make a little graph. We have 3 dimensions. So now, for example, we have the, how should I say it? Here, let's make it, we have this point, okay, and we have this point. Now, how do we sign them in? Let's say this is in this point here on this coordinate, on this coordinate and on this coordinate. Just as an example, okay? So you see that the three-dimensional room, usually it's more than three. I just want to make it easy for you to understand it. I think LLMs and the other AIs, they work with like 100,000 dimensions or something like that. Now we have this one. This is like here, very close to here, and here. Just as an example. Yeah, no, it's not quite correctly. And now, this is, for example, we have, this are the distances that it has in the different dimensions, okay? These are the differences, like vectors. This, and this, okay? And now, when one thing, like here, is, for example, this point, again, yeah, this panel is new, that's why I'm not that well at track. This one is, for example, Shakespeare. And now things like a Midsummer's Dream is this, and King Lear will be here, and they will all be very closely connected to each other on this plane. So they know, oh, these words, even if they're different words, they are clustered around one another. So the meaning of them is very close to one another. For example, I can go into more depth of that. It's a bit very mathematical, but just so you know, this is how, in general, they understand what topic is close to one another, what is interesting or not. And this is weighted by the training data that it had. How often does one word associate or be close to another word? And that's how you get these. It makes sense that one thing has to do with the other thing, because if you go through 1,000 texts full of Shakespeare stuff, you would come again and again and again upon words like Hamlet, Romeo, Juliet, and all of these things will be then weighted to say, okay, this seems to be somewhere close to each other. So it has something that is a cluster of meanings. And when we talk about Romeo, it is likely that it could be about Shakespeare too, because these words are close to each other. Same with theater and Shakespeare and so on. So they get these weightings from each other to each other by being positioned in a multi-dimensional frame and having many positions and vertices on these different dimensions to then iterate, not iterate, but like to be in relationship to each other. Just general thing. So the distances between words, phrases, and concepts, technically a mathematical similarity measure, define how closely related each one is to the other. These patterns enable a machine to infer similarities between them. Movera solves inherent problem of multi-vector embeddings. The Movera research paper states that neural embeddings have been a feature of information retrieval for 10 years. It cites the Colbert multi-vector model research paper from 2020 as a breakthrough, but that says that it suffers from a bottleneck that makes it less than ideal. Recently, beginning with the landmark Colbert paper, multi-vector models which produce a set of embedding per data point have achieved markedly superior performance for IR tasks. Unfortunately, using these models for IR is computationally expensive due to the increased complexity of multi-vector retrieval and scoring. Okay. Google's announcement of Movera echoes those downsides. Recent advances, particularly the introduction of multi-vector models like Colbert, have demonstrated significantly improved performance in IR tasks. While this multi-vector approach boosts accuracy and enables retrieving more relevant documents, it introduces substantial computational challenges. In particular, the increased number of embeddings and the complexity of multi-vector similarity scoring make retrieval significantly more expensive. Could be a successor to Google's rank embed technology. The United States Department of Justice antitrust lawsuit resulted in testimony that revealed that one of the signals used to create the search engine results pages SERPs, is called rank embed, which was described like this. Rank embed is a dual encoder model that embeds both query and document into embedding space. Embedding space considers semantic properties of query and document in addition to other signals. Retrieval and ranking are then a dot product, distance measure in the embedding space, extremely fast, high quality on common queries, but can perform purely for tail queries. Movera is a technical advancement that addresses the performance and scaling limitation of multi-vector systems, which themselves are a step beyond dual encoder models like rank embed, providing greater semantic depth and handling of tail query performance. The breakthrough is a technique called fixed dimensional encoding (FDE), which divides the embedding space into sections and combines the vectors that fall into each section to create a single fixed length vector, making it faster to search than comparing multiple vectors. This allows multi-vector models to be used efficiently at scale, improving retrieval speed without sacrificing the accuracy that comes from richer semantic representation. According to the announcement, unlike single vector embeddings, multi-vector model represent each data point with a set of embeddings and leverage more sophisticated similarity functions that can capture richer relationships between data points. While this multi-vector approach boosts accuracy and enables retrieving more relevant documents, it introduces substantial computational challenges. In particular, the increased number of embeddings and the complexity of multi-vector similarity scoring make retrieval significantly more expensive. In Movera, multi-vector retrieval via fixed dimensional encodings, we introduce a novel multi-vector retrieval algorithm designed to bridge the efficiency gap between single and multi-core retrieval. This new approach allows us to leverage the highly optimized MIPS algorithms to retrieve an initial set of candidates that can then be re-ranked with the exact multi-vector similarity, thereby enabling efficient multi-vector retrieval without sacrificing accuracy. Cool. Multi-vector models can provide more accurate answers than dual encoder models, but this accuracy comes at the cost of intensive computer demands. Movera solves the complexity issues of multi-vector models, thereby creating a way to achieve greater accuracy of multi-vector approaches without the high computing demands. What does this mean for SEO? Movera shows how modern search ranking increasingly depends on similarity judgment rather than old-fashioned keyword signals, as SEO tools and SEOs are often focused on. SEOs and publishers may wish to shift their attention from exact phrase matching towards aligning with the overall context and intent of the query. For example, when someone searches for corduroy jackets men's medium, a system using Movera-like retrieval is more likely to rank pages that actually offer those products, not pages that simply mention corduroy jackets and include the word medium in an attempt to match the query. Okay, good article. I like it. I would like I personally would like a bit more technical explanation, but I liked it. Good. Roger Monty, well done article. I like it. If you like what I do, as usual, before I jump to the next article, if you like what I do, if you enjoy that I go through these things, explaining them a bit, giving context and everything, I do that for news, trends, research papers in the marketing space, be it SEO, content marketing, PPC, email marketing, and so on, many things. If you like what I do, consider supporting this channel. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel. It's 1 or 2 clicks, but you can help this channel tremendously with that. And with that, we jump right over. Completely forgot to go through this little macro page with you all because we've just looked at it. And now, of course, we want to see how does the page look, how is the microsite, what is it like, how does it work right now. Unit 21 AI, still resource, broad fighters manual. So very well done. They put it on their domain. Okay, that's something I wanted to know because, of course, all the backlink will juice up the SEO value. Work email, download your copy, very basic, immediately in the hero section, nice. Highlights, chapters, is it all in one page? Yeah, one page. We jump from the highlight to the chapters, authors, reviews, nice, 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 nice. Count different pages, chapters, quite easy. Raw Fighters Manual, Robert Reynolds. Different interviews for the different topics and chapters, very nicely done, depending on which topic. Reader reviews, just 3, okay, I would have thought more, but still very well. Sign up for an upcoming webinar, very well. Related articles, even more. Yeah, a lot of, get a demo. See first in how we do it, yeah, of course, for the company itself, to get directly with them in contact. Our mission, nice web. Well done, I like it. Absolutely lovely. I think it's great. Really very well done. Respect, 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 respect. Unit 21, and that's great what you've done. I respect it a lot. Nice, 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 nice. And we start our next article. Fonts in HTML emails, limitations, solutions, and industry standards. Yeah, let's see if we learned something about that. Because fonts in emails can really be troublesome. It's really annoying. Like, you make such a beautiful design and then it doesn't work. God, emails are so annoying because there's so many different ways they can be shown. Insane. So, fonts in HTML emails, limitations, solutions, and industry standards, written by Tina by mailbakery.com. Fonts in HTML emails are known for causing troubles. What did I say? You may use whatever fonts you like on your website, but the rules for using fonts in HTML emails are a little different. To guide you through the unknown, winding path of the use of fonts in HTML emails, we have listed for you the most common problems you will face and the tools you will need to solve them. Alright. System fonts, pros, cons. Safest option, limited number of fonts. Google Web Fonts, Pro, library of over 600 fonts, free for commercial use. Cons, not all email clients support these fonts. You have to have fallback fonts. Self-hosted fonts, pros, you may use your own copyright protected fonts. Cons, not all email clients support these fonts. You have to have fallback fonts. You have costs for purchasing the font, hosting, and bandwidth. And then text and image, pro, you have creative freedom. Con, images are usually blocked and need authorization to be displayed. The use of images slows down the loading time of the email. True. Now, let's go through it. Number 1, system fonts. What are system fonts and why should I use them? System fonts are those fonts that are already installed on your computer and all email clients have access to them and use them. There are 10 system fonts that might be called email safe. That is because these 10 fonts are present by default on all PC and Mac computers. The use of one of these 10 fonts will ensure that all your subscribers see your message displayed the same way. Here they are: Arial, Comic Sans, Korean New, Georgia, Impact, Palatino, Tahoma, Times New Roman, Trebuchet, NS, and Verdana. Then we have some that are only in Windows. We have some that are only in macOS. I won't read all of them now. It is hard to present your unique identity if you have just 10 fonts to choose from. So you may try using different font sizes and colors. This should add an extra flavor to your email, as you can see here, for example. 2. Web fonts and Google Web Fonts. Break away from boring. Start using web fonts. What are web fonts? Web fonts are hosted on a server and downloaded by the email client while rendering your email and then applied to the text. Not all email clients display them. That is why it is important to use fallback fonts with them. What is a fallback font? For those of you who don't know, a fallback font is you declare, okay, I want to use font X normally. But if there is any issue, if it can't be shown, if it can't be downloaded, if it can't be accessed, then I want the computer to go to the fallback font. That's like the alternative, and that's like the safe method. There you pick one of the 10 we had before where it said, hey, I want you to try with this one, but if it doesn't work, use this other safe one. How does fallback fonts look in the code? Here's how you can use correctly custom fonts in your email. TD style, font family, Arial, sans serif, open sans, or font family, Arial, sans serif, open sans. Da, da, da. You may wonder why the open sans font is placed at the end. Well, the three bad guys, Outlook 27, 2010, and 2013, as you may know, use Microsoft Office rendering engine to display the emails. Placing a custom font in the beginning will make these clients display Georgia instead. So the solution here is to place the font in the end. With the following code placed anywhere in the head, you overwrite the above code and show open sans instead, as you can see here. The above will work on Thunderbird, Macmail, iOS, Windows Phone, and any email client that supports CSS3. Here's the complete example. Then we have a code snippet. The link to the article will be below in the description, so don't worry about it. There you can go through it in all detail, because I don't want to have you look at all of that right now. And then you see it looks like that. That's a bit broken. Which email clients support web fonts? The following email clients provide the best support of web fonts: Apple Mail, iOS device, Outlook 2000, 2011, Thunderbird, Lotus Notes 8 and H5, and Android 2.3, 4.2 plus. Of course, there are a few better and more modern, well, but yeah, okay. Why Google Web Fonts? Google Web Fonts. There are several services that provide web user interface fonts for email, but we find Google Web Fonts to be the least complicated, and they also come for free. Google Web Fonts offer a wide variety of free fonts, over 1,000, and an easy-to-use interface which helps to generate the font style sheet for your email. You can use Google Web Fonts for both commercial and non-commercial purposes. One of the best Google Web Fonts features is the option to download the desktop version of the fonts for use at the project design stage. How does Google Web Fonts work? The implementation of the Google Web Fonts is really quick and simple. Follow this link, google.com/fonts. Choose a font family from the list and click the quick use button on the right hand side. Pick up styles in the character set. Bear in mind that adding more styles in the code will affect the email template load time. You have three options to add the code to your email template: standard link, add import, and JavaScript. We prefer to use the standard link. Here's an example. Now, just for you to consider look out where you're from, what your data privacy laws are, like GDPR in the European Union, Canada has something, and so on. If you're allowed to just access those data and those fonts, and how. Just saying. Look it up if it's all right for you, and how you have to access them, if at all, and so you don't want to get into trouble. Copy and paste the generated code into the head of the email, and the font will be accessible in your CSS code. 3. Self-hosting fonts. That's a solution that I really see rarely. If you don't want to use services like Google Web Fonts, or if you own your fonts, you may host them on a server and use them in your emails. Self-hosting also enables subsetting. It ensures that you stay in control of your font delivery and do not depend on third-party servers. However, self-hosting your fonts incurs some cost. While system and Google Web Fonts are free of charge, you will have to buy the fonts you're hosting with you. You have to also calculate the cost of hosting and bandwidth, which I would honestly say is quite negligible. Usually, I mean, we can go through the mathematical examples, but this should not cause any issues. Number 4, displaying text as an image in an email. Is this a smart choice? Displaying text as an image gives you all the freedom you need when customizing your text. However, you have to also consider the following. With most email clients, images are blocked by default, and the user have to authorize the display. The use of images may slow down the loading time of your email. The loading time increases with the number of images used. Well, of course, of the size of the images too. Like, one very big image will take longer than 3 tiny images. Just saying. A text will always look better no matter how good the quality of the images used in the email. Conclusion. Having various email clients with different sets of rules on displaying fonts makes it a little harder to come up with a single best solution. That is why we offer you several. Sorry. That is why we offer you several options to pick up from, depending on your wants and needs. But remember, whatever your option of choice, you have to have your HTML email template tested with a service like Litmus or Email on Acid to ensure that you know how your message is displayed on the various email clients and devices. Most likely affiliate or self-plug. There, a bit of ad. Need help with your next HTML email design? See how we design and code the email templates for our clients. That is the shameless self-plug. All right. Impact and Comic Sans are not web safe. Oh, interesting. Good. Good article for beginners. Not that bad, not that bad. I like it. Yeah, I like it. I think it's like, I can give it like, yeah. With that, I think this article is over. If you like what I do, that I go through these kind of articles. Well, this article and the last one were a bit short, I gotta admit. Like, okay, there wasn't that much that not that much that I could add with experience. I mean, I could tell some issues about market email campaigns that we had, but it felt too forced, you know. But if you got any questions, leave them in the comments and in the chat. No problem. I'll gladly indulge you in telling you some of the stories. But with that, I gotta say, if you like what I do, if you enjoy me going through articles, giving information, giving you feedback, deep dives, sharing my experience with all of you, then consider supporting this channel. All you need to do is subscribe to the channel or follow it. It's 1 or 2 clicks for you, costs you absolutely nothing, but it helps me tremendously and shows me that you guys appreciate what I do and want me to keep doing it. And with that, I'll jump right over to the next article. Next article, we go through email do and don'ts of HTML email coding. 2018. Guys, what old articles have you sent me? Insane. Email code tips, do's and don'ts of HTML email coding. Still, we're going through it and we'll see how it works out. Sometimes it's good to go through old stuff too. Like we find out what has changed, what has not changed, what were the trends back then that maybe are already forgotten, what has gone much better in technology. And sometimes it's also good to realize, oh, that's best practices we've known for many years and I'm still not doing them. I gotta change what I do. Yeah, hydrated, my friends. Now let's go through it. Email code comes with a lot of restrictions, unfortunately, yeah. The rules for HTML for email have not been standardized across email clients yet. So this puts a limit on the creativity and techniques email designers and developers use. Moreover, every template needs to be tested on all email clients upon sending just to make sure it displays well. Yeah, absolutely. I think, what was the number? I made a deep dive video about it. I think the different interpreters for email coding and CSS and HTML, I think there are over 15,000 right now. Insane amount. You find the videos on my channel, like about also PKF, SPF, DCIM, and so on. What the different methods are and what is important to set up so that your emails work well. So, moreover, there are certainly a lot of things you can do and plenty that you'd better stay straight away on. So let's get started. The do's and don'ts of HTML email code. Let's deep dive. Do tables. Using tables for your template layout is still the most reliable method to make sure the design renders well across all email clients. In spite of being an old-fashioned method for web development, this is the preferred way to code your multi-column email design. In normal websites, I remember, I'm so old, I remember the times when we did everything with tables, and then I stopped for a while because I had another job, and then I went back into website making, and a colleague of mine was shocked that I didn't use classes and divs and everything, was still old school doing tables. Told me, no, man, that's old fashioned. Let's continue. 2. Single column layout. Most brands nowadays use this kind of layout since it looks great on all kinds of devices and screens, especially on mobile. In addition, it makes the content easy to be scanned. Moreover, the scrolling doesn't bother the modern users. It comes naturally from using social media channels daily. Okay? Don't body tags for the background. A lot of email clients would block this tag and display the message on a white background by default. Put your background color in a separate table instead and set the width to 100% to make sure it displays clearly across all inboxes. For those who don't know, body is a tag for HTML where it's got the header, head tag, and then the body tag. I'm not sure how deep dive I should into the technical aspects. If you want me to go much deeper, tell me. We can do a deep dive session for a CSS and HTML tags if you want to. So, clearly across all inboxes, yeah. Do inline CSS. Embedded or external CSS is very little or not at all supported by email clients, so you'd better stay away from it. Stick to inline CSS style instead. This means you need to have repetitive styles applied to each element. What is embedded, external, and inline CSS? Oof. Let me open something easy. Yeah, just let's open Google Notes. Let's try it this way. Let's take a new note. Like, I want to do it properly. Give me a moment. I want to set it up so that you can see it properly what I do. Just gotta quit it for a second so I don't share some client data. Wouldn't want to do that after all. Gonna load it. Give me a few seconds. Okay. That's all I want. So. There we go. So. Save changes. So. Just had to open a draw IO, and I don't want you to see any of the client stuff. Like, if you do a normal website, you can do the code like you have HTML, and then you've got like the header. And this is where you get all the different code where you put in the style sheet and everything, like the meta tag, the meta information. Can you see it even? Let's make it a bit bigger. As I said, one of my early streams, so I apologize if it's not well. Give me feedback if it's too small, too big, or anything, okay? So, and here you have then style, for example, okay? And in the style header, you put in, for example, just random, is let's do something very basic, okay? Here. And with that, the P class, the P objects in all of the page have color blue, just as a cheap example, okay? Or like, well, H1 has color, I know, red, okay? Just as a very basic thing, yeah? And now for the whole document, this counts. This is like, okay, this is how the value is set for all of this whole document. This does not work really well in emails. It just does not work. So in email, you will have to do it like, for example, have the code be HTML, head, body, and then here you have the H1 tag, which is, for example, the header. So it's a big title header. And here you write style is color red, for example, okay? And like this, you can write now, this is the title, H1. Have it like this. And now if you want to have, I mean, H1 is a bad example because you should only have one. Let's go with P. And now you go, oh, but I want a second paragraph, because P is paragraph. you add it again, even if it's completely the same. Another paragraph I want in red. Okay? This is what it's about. This is what is meant there. Can you guys see it well? There. So all of the different aspects of the CSS code, of the style, you put it in again and again and again and again to make sure that you have it. Okay? Now, was that the best explanation? I'm sure it was not. But I hope you still understand it. Hope it works somewhat good enough. So, you need to have repetitive styles applied to each element. Exactly. 2. Media queries. Media queries allow mobile users to see the email design with resized fonts, images, and background on the device's screen. Unlike the above rule, media queries come as top-line CSS and contain classes. Media query styles can also override existing styles and hide information unnecessary for mobile users. This is achieved with important yes and no. Well, okay, I don't want to go too deep into that. Maybe it's a good idea for me. Let me write it out. And you gotta tell me if you like this or not. But I think I could do it one deep dive. Deep dive, email, email CSS. Okay. And yes, I like it still old school with paper and notebook. I like to do it this way. Let's go on. Don't shorthand CSS. Cutting out elements from your CSS may cause significant rendering problems across email clients. Most of them simply won't interpret shorthand declaration. To save yourself the trouble, simply write the full CSS every time. Yep. 2. Retina images. More and more users nowadays use devices with Retina displays. Make sure all the images look crisp on these device screens. Simply use Retina images. This means images twice as big than the image size you would normally use. Yes and no. Depends. Depends. Still depends. I would say this is advice that is generally okay, but it depends heavily who your users are. Don't make it too hard for them to load the email because long waiting can be disastrous for retention and conversion. Like it depends on how big your images are and everything, and how important it is that they really are that crisp. You know, it's the same. 2. Absolute addresses. When it comes to images in email, you should most definitely use absolute addresses to make sure the images will display in recipients' inboxes. This means you need to write the full domain address, directory, file name, and extension. Example: you don't want to write like let's say, like for example, some people do image point JPEG. This won't work. You want to write face media point.t images image point JPEG as an example. You want to write, and you would have an issue because I made a typo. You want to write the whole address each time. Also make sure that HTTPS or HTTP, because some domains and some servers don't allow that. Just saying. This might work on your local machine. It might work in your server and your machine, but when you send it out, everything's broken for everyone who's not on the same server. Okay? Don't image maps. One image that leads to different URLs won't get recognized by many email clients. Stay safe, slice your image into several other small images and link each one to its own web page. What is image map? Image mapping is something where you, for example, you take one image like this. Let me erase those two. You get one image and then you overlay areas where you say, hey, if you click in this area of the image, I want it to be link 1. And if you click on this area of the, yeah, well, okay, let's do it this way. And if you click in this area of the image, I want you to go to link 2. Okay? This is what mapping means. You can do that in code. Don't do that in emails. Don't do that. You should If you want to do it as an email, wait, Yep. You should like get the image done in such a way that it's cut and make 2 images out of it. Okay? Like this. I mean, now it's not the same areas. If you wanted like it was before, you could click the image into 4 areas. Like here, you could cut it out here and here. But what I mean is, each image should be one link and not multiple. Okay? You'll have trouble with that. Some people want to be cute with it. Pre-header text. Do. Pre-header text is important as this, the preview, as this. There seems something wrong with this sentence. Pre-header text is important as this, the preview of the email message people see before they open the email. However, don't hard code the pre-header text into the template, but write it as an HTML comment instead. This will prevent you from accidentally sending an email that is a hard-coded, uncustomized pre-header text, such as write pre-header text here. Or like something with hello name, where it's code. Okay? But yeah, put significant aspect into the pre-header. It's important because that's the part that you will see before you click on the email. Do character encoder. Use character encoder to make sure special characters won't show as squares or diamond symbols with question marks inside. You could also turn some of these special characters into images where possible. Character encoder is the typical UTF and such. It's like, oh, do we use U and A? Do we use Arabic and Chinese symbols and so on? We can do a deep dive into that too. Important is just that you check it out, that you make sure that you use the right one for your target audience and the font and the symbols that you use. Don't fancy fonts. Unfortunately, fancy fonts won't display properly across many email clients. Generally, you can use Google Fonts, but it's a good idea to define a backup font in case the one you've chosen isn't recognized by a certain email client. MailChimp has provided the list of safe fonts as well as fonts that need backup. Here again, you've got a few fonts that are accepted by everyone. Then you've got a few safe fonts for Microsoft, and then you've got a few safe fonts for Apple, and I think Google also. Where it's like, the more complicated, the more likely is it that a client, an email client, might just not load it and not show it. Do mobile first. With the rise of email mobile opens, a lot of email designers and developers have started building campaigns for mobile displays in mind. This approach is the reason single column layouts are recommended for the modern email development. I wouldn't say mobile first. It's also something that's typically declared. Oh, everyone is on mobile. Everyone is on mobile. Yes, a significant chunk of people are on mobile, but not everyone. Not everyone. When you check it out, you will easily find that, what is it, like 30, 40, 50, 60, 70%, depending on your niche and your client base and the email lists that you collected. You'll find that 30 to 70% of the people are still on desktop reading your emails, just so you know. Okay? 2. Well commented email code. It's good practice to comment on your code in case the template needs to be edited in the future, which happens quite often. Generally, good advice to comment and explain why and what is what. Don't heavy and complex CSS HTML. Advanced code doesn't go along with email coding yet. Leave out JavaScript, Flash, HTML5, and CSS3. CSS3 seems to be working nowadays in most already. CSS3 works, seems to work in most. Don't cut me or attack me if you get bad experience with it, but in most cases, CSS3 works nowadays, at least in my case. Also, make sure the size of your email template doesn't exceed 102 KB. This is the point at which Gmail would clip it out, and according to this survey, 59% of email open happen on Gmail. Interesting survey. Let's look at. Do test. When it comes to email coding, testing is a must. Unfortunately, standardization of HTML for email is still a dream. Therefore, you will have to test every time you change an element or a line of code to make sure it renders correctly everywhere. Conclusion: email code is not a hard job. It simply requires a lot of testing and following certain rules. we've outlined the most common do's and don'ts related to HTML email code. If you feel we've missed an essential point, please note it in the comment sections below. Not a bad article. I like it. I think a few things were left out that one could address, but it's a good basic one. Good basic one. Let's not be negative. What would I add? I mean, yeah, let me add something that are not in the context of this article because it's just HTML, but test it, clean your email lists, use a tester to see if the addresses still exist or not, so that you don't have too many bounces. It's bad for your domain reputation. Segmenting, if possible, but yeah, test it out. Get a few accounts for yourself, 4 or 5 accounts for different things. One in Outlook, one in Gmail, one in Apple product, something like that, and send the email out. Really send it out, and then look on the different devices, not just simulated, but on the different devices, on a laptop, on a computer, on a phone. Check it out to see what it looks like. Also, use testing software. There's quite a few testing software. I don't know which ones. If you find a few videos about it on my channel, as usual, just type in email test, something like that, and you will find a few things. But I like the article. As usual, if you like what I do, if you enjoy me going through these articles, checking material, sharing with you my experience, my information, consider supporting this channel. As usual, leave a follow, subscribe to it. It's 1 or 2 clicks, costs you absolutely nothing, but it helps me tremendously and sends me the signal that you want me to keep doing this. For everyone else who can follow, leave a comment, leave a like. I appreciate it a lot. And with that, we jump right over to the next article. Hey guys, today I've got an awesome guest for you to get to know. It's a very world famous renowned researcher. From price comparison pioneer to Google CSS expert. How to dominate your... Let's start not with the people who start the startup, but like the employees. Is it a good for me to work for a startup or not? What would you say? What was your...
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking just about the money, then it's probably not a great thing to work for a startup. It's the average employee of a startup is earning, kind of about 6% less initially. If you look at somebody who has the same kind of background, working in the same industry, but going to a large established employer, the person who goes to a startup is typically earning a little bit less. And in the long run, they actually earn quite a bit less, depending on how you're looking at it. They might earn anywhere, up to sort of 10, 12% less over, I call it the lifetime, but really we're talking over a 10-year period. Okay. I think it's worthwhile to also understand a little bit about, well, why is it that they're earning less? And we've did a little bit of research in trying to understand what were in some sense, the sources of the penalties. And one of the biggest sources of the penalties is that, the average startup fails, doesn't last forever. It maybe makes it for 3-4 years. And when it fails, the employees have to go and find another job. And where they really seem to kind of lose out is that when they find that next job, they're usually taking either a little bit of a pay cut or, they're earning about the same amount as they earned in their prior job. Whereas somebody who was working that whole time at a large established employer, is probably accumulating experience, maybe getting promoted. They're actually getting raises over time. So it's not that they're actually, sort of seeing a decrease in their income, but relative to somebody who worked at, a job continuously, they typically are earning less.
Yeah, that's an interesting finding. I would have, just from a gut feeling, thought that for the corporate, it would be interesting to have people that worked in startups, because I think they're typical, more flexible, very ready to work a lot, to work hard, and flexible in the thinking, maybe not just in one department, but like connecting the dots. I would have thought that would be worth money to pay them a bit more to get them on their team. So that's not how it's played out for these people, huh?
Yeah, it's interesting. So, I mean, I think for entrepreneurs, for the founders, that does sort of happen. If you looked at, this isn't really my own paper, but if you look at other people who've done research
Mhm.
on startup founders and what happens to them, even when they go back to an employer, I think a lot of times employers consider that experience very relevant for somebody who's going to enter the managerial ranks, right? Somebody who now understands how to manage people, knows a lot of different functions of the organizations. But the thing about, being, a more typical employee in a large firm is large firms typically usually have employees that are very specialized, right? They want people that are really good at some particular activity. And that's not what you develop as skills in a startup. In a startup, you learn how to do a little bit of everything. You're
Yeah,
not really an expert in any one, but you know a
jack
little
of
bit of
all
everything.
trades. Yeah.
Exactly. And so when you then are going back to,
Yeah.
work for these larger employees, it's hard for them to make use of the type of experience, the type of human capital that you built.
Yeah, it's like you don't fit as well as a cog into the machine anymore, or like you
Right.
have to be uh, built into it and trained for it more to get into the right part of the machine in comparison with someone who's been there from the get-go, right after school or after the degree. You've been in it, worked years and years and years, maybe even if perfectly in the same company to learn all in and out. Okay, that's something I can see. Absolutely interesting. Hallo Leute, heute habe ich Alfred Grant von der Grant Farm bei uns und welcome to today's interview. I'm very excited to present to you Ben Heath. He's the owner of Lead Guru, and he's an absolute expert in the field of Facebook and Instagram marketing ads. He's got his own Facebook group with over 170,000 members. His YouTube channel is subscribed by over 100,000 people. He's very well known and he's helped a lot of people over the years with his educational videos. I'm very, very happy that he accepted my invitation to this interview. I'm already curious to hear a bit about his personal background, how he got into this field, how it all started, but also about his professional opinion on a few questions and a few tasks that I've got, because, well, you don't always get the chance to talk with an international expert, right? So let's jump in, and I hope you like it too. I would like to ask the very first question because I stumbled upon your little tweet, and I'm very curious. How did you get the idea to start that business? It's been
To
60.
start a digital marketing agency.
Yeah, because you're tremendously successful. Your channel has over 100,000 subscribers. It's like
Yeah.
Facebook, the official page, the official channel does only have 1 million. So it's like you help hundreds of thousands of people worldwide with Facebook ads, and how it's done with the setup and everything. How did it all start?
Yeah, so it was not by design. I didn't plan to do that from the beginning. I think quite a lot of people that get involved in digital marketing agencies. So sort of set the context a little bit. I started my business. Well, I started a business when I was about 18. So I'm 30 now, 12 years ago, started my first business, just trying to sell bits and bobs online, like you do. Like e-commerce type things. Drop shipping wasn't a thing then, but little bits and bobs, right? So I'm doing this at 18. I'm doing this whilst I'm at university. I'm trying to get a business going. Nothing's working. Nothing's succeeding. I sort of got a few products and thought they'll just sell. And of course they didn't, right? Because that's not how it works. They don't just sell. So I realized if I was actually going to be able to sell these products that I had gotten my hands on, I needed to learn how to advertise them online.
Okay.
So the first thing I did was I took an online course in Google Ads, or Google AdWords as it was then, went through that. And this would have been, 2011, maybe something like that. And learned a little bit and experimented with a little bit. Didn't have much success, but sort of started the learning process around these things. So sort of did that whilst I was at university. For sort of other reasons, I ended up dropping out of university. And then I was living back with my parents and I was still sort of messing around with side businesses, trying to get it to work. And my mum had an interior design business and she was really struggling to get new clients. The business wasn't doing that well. And I was sort of learning how to do digital marketing things to try and sell my own products, none of it really working. And she said, well, can you help me out? Can you run campaigns for me? So I was like, sure. So I ran campaigns for her business, I said interior design company, and they worked really well. Those campaigns worked really well. And I thought, okay, well, that's interesting, but I don't care too much because I want this to work for my businesses. So this is great that it's helped my mum out, but sure, whatever.
Were those
And then
or Google campaigns?
these are Google campaigns initially.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Google campaigns initially.
Okay.
And then I carried on sort of doing that whilst trying to work on my own stuff for maybe another sort of 6 months. And then my mum said, like, look, you're sort of living here, you're not really making any money. Why don't you come work with me for a little bit? I think my mum's business, as I said, it still wasn't doing great, so couldn't afford to basically pay me anything. But then I sort of got a more involved role with my mum's business. So I was running Google ads. And that's when I started thinking, well, are there other sort of ads we could run? Because it's a local business on Google, not much search traffic. You sort of max that out fairly quickly, right? So we then started running Facebook ads as like, well, let's see what else we can expand into. So this is 2013 at this point, let's say something like that, like really early days with Facebook. And traffic was incredibly cheap and it was so easy to get good results, right? So, so ran those campaigns and they did really well as well. So I worked with my mum's business for a few years, but after doing it for say 6 months, and I took on other roles within the company. It was like 4 people business, really small. So you mucked in and you did all sorts, right? Mm-hmm. But I realized that I had now this skill. I knew how to get a local business leads through both Google ads and Facebook ads. Yeah. And I thought I could probably start offering this as a service to other businesses. As I said, my mum's interior design company, I think, was paying me like £18,000 a year, like really not a lot at all. Yeah. So that was definitely not going to be like my long-term future. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I can start offering services. And I did all sorts of things, to try and get clients on the side. I joined like networking groups and tried a bunch of stuff to work out myself. So I did, and I probably did that for a good 18 months whilst I'm working full-time on my mum's business. And then all my extra time is on trying to find clients to sell Google ads and Facebook ad services too. And then that turned into full-time around about 7 years ago now. When I had enough clients to be able to pay the bills if I went and did that. By then I'd moved out my parents' house. I was living with my girlfriend, now wife, in London. So needed to be able to do that. And so started Facebook ads agency. Well, it was Google and Facebook initially. Got that fully sort of launched about 7 years ago, and it's done well since.
Very interesting. Already a few points where I would like to hook in and ask additional questions, like, for example, the first customers. As you know, the saying goes, the first customer is the hardest to get, the second hardest is the second customer. Yeah. How did you approach your very first customers for those people? Because just so you know, many people that watch my stuff are like at the startup phase, they're beginners. Usually not many of them are agency owners themselves, but more startups that want to learn, okay, at the beginning, as you said, I have to do everything on my own, or most stuff, and the team is very small. So they try to learn what is important. Should I do this, X or Y or Z? And it's like, how do I get my first customers? Should I do a Google campaign? Should I do Facebook? Should I go to physical events like networking, shaking hands, sharing cards? It's like, how did you do it for the first few people? And if I may ask, little sets. Back then, it was new, much new than it is nowadays. So how did you convince the people that it would be worth it to do it? Was it like, did the customers already know it? Were they greedy for it? Or was it like a lot of teaching, a lot of getting the minds ready to accept that this could be something that could help them in business?
Yeah, that's interesting. So how did I go about doing it? And this is probably what I'd recommend to a lot of people when they're getting started, is I tried everything, because I think any strategy that could be used, for example, in that business to acquire clients can work. But you have to find what sort of naturally fits you and that you enjoy doing. So like, I tried going to networking events, but I hate that. I find that just boring and brutal, and you talk to people and most people you speak to don't have any money, so they can't work with you anyway. And, it can be a waste of time. But other things suited me quite well, right? So So the first few clients I got there was no one way where I sort of got a client that way. So I remember the very first client I got, obviously other than my mum's interior design company, was a hairdresser's nearby, where I didn't know them, but like they were close by, so I could sort of I knew of the business, and I went in one day and sort of had a bit of a chat, and we got like it was one of those where I think I maybe charged £150 a month to run a campaign for them, like next to nothing, right? It was just you could almost see they were like, okay, sure, you can go ahead and you can run the campaigns and give it a go. I think it was £150 a month on me, £150 a month on the ads. Didn't cost them much. They were like, let's give it a go.
Yeah.
So I just sort of I did everything. I remember offering, I ran ads myself. I think that's an underutilized way in the agency space of getting clients. It shows a lot of credibility. It demonstrates credibility and expertise if you can get people to see your ads and immediately go, oh, okay, well, at least they put an ad in front of me, so they know what they're talking about. So I ran ads on Facebook. I ran ads on Google a little bit and just got a few clients that way. You get a handful, you get a few more referrals. But it was years before I ever worked out anything like consistent that you could build a business around. It was all little bits here and there. There was a second part to your question. What was the second part again? I've forgotten.
How ready were the customers for it?
Because that's interesting. Yeah, so on the Google Ads side of things, this is 2013. That's pretty well established, right? People know about AdWords. That was pretty comfortable. And what I did initially is I got them as Google Ads clients and then sort of talked them into running campaigns on Facebook as well once they were already signed up, because Facebook was the new thing then. It was the thing they weren't sure about. And that worked better. Now, for many, many years, my agency was just Facebook ads. So I did make that transition away from Google. And recently we've started offering Google Ads services as well. But for, 5-6 years, it was just Facebook ads. So Facebook ads is sort of where it went. But initially it was very much both. And the Google side of things was the easier in because people were a lot more familiar with it. It'd be different now, right? Like loads of businesses know that Facebook ads is a viable option for running campaigns.
Yeah, I was curious because I've personally, and with a few agencies that I talked to that advise, it was like they see a huge potential in these TikTok ads, and they were like, okay, how can we convince the people to go into this area? Yeah. And it's like many, they think, no, we don't know if that's good for our company or not. Should we not? And I think it's like the same thing over and over and over again. It was with Google ads at first. People, I don't know if I should go into it. And it was Facebook ads. I don't know if I should go. Now it's TikTok, and it will be the same. In 5 or 8 years, there will be another platform added that will be having a huge upside to those who are willing to go in first, because the first ones have it the cheapest. It's like real free estate. You get huge chunks of the market at the beginning at the very, very low prices. So I'm always curious to hear how people are convinced others to be the first ones in these new fields. And your solution, honestly, was very, very smart idea to go with something they know, and then to subtly suggest something. Hey, we could also try XYZ. That's a bit new. You will see. We can test if it works. And you've got your surefire method in place already that we do for you. So you're confident that we can offer it. So that's a very smart idea.
Exactly. And agencies can still do this now, right? So I know of agencies that will get a client in on, say, Instagram ads, and they will try and upsell them TikTok ads as the classic example, if an agency is not sure. And also, I think a lot of that sort of selling and convincing just comes down to conviction of the person doing the selling. So if you're in the situation where you're saying, look, I know this can work for you, why don't we just put a tiny little bit of budget there, give it a test, I'll do the work, I won't charge you for the first month, I know this can really work for your business. Business owners are going to say yes to this. If you're really confident you can get the TikTok ads to work for that business, offer to do it for free or at a massive discount for the very beginning. Just get them proof of concept, and then the relationship should be able to work well for both of you, if you're that convinced. So it really does come down to conviction.
Absolutely true. Under one little caveat, and I think that's important because you've said it on your channel and your videos too, something because I think your stuff is great. Gonna be honest, gonna be straight out. It's great. It's a lot of stuff. I will also link it all in the videos below and the description below so that people can learn from you, because you give proper advice for people who want to get into that space as an agent themselves too. I think that's very great from you, like your tweets, your LinkedIn posts, everything is awesome.
And there is a little caveat where you in the videos also say, listen, our customers, they need a budget from, I think in the videos that I saw were like 3,000 to 5,000 a month, something along that. And if your customer doesn't have enough money, don't waste time convincing them. Don't waste time. It won't work. As you say, if the company can't afford 100 or 200 for a little test in advertising, then it's lost energy to try to convince them. Have you had any such experiences like, man, listen, with that little amount of money, I can't help you?
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that no one can help them, right?
Yeah.
So it's just where my business is at. We've got overheads. We've got, you know, there's about 36 people working in my company. We're not in a situation where, like, if I was open to working with businesses that have a $250 a month budget, for example, we could get thousands of clients in the next couple of weeks, but the maths just doesn't work. But if someone's just getting started by themselves and they're trying to build an agency and they want experience and they want to create case studies, like, yeah, you can do the $250 a month thing for those first handful of ones and grow like that. So it doesn't mean no one can help them. It's just the fit. So yeah, so that's why we have the 3K per month minimum budget requirement for that reason.
That's why I think your hairdresser story is so great, because you also started with like a little amount. Let me show what I can. Let me get a few testimonials, a bit experience, a bit like showcases where I can prove that it works, and then let's scale it up. I think that's a very, very great thing. And because of that, I want to step to the next question about your marketing. Your YouTube channel, it's been created in 2016.
Yeah.
Was it planned to acquire new leads, or was it, what was the thought process behind it, and how did it play out? How much would you say your initial idea worked out, and how much did you adapt the initial idea?
Yeah, so again, that was something that was quite accidental. It wasn't planned. I was creating videos for Facebook ads, and I was creating videos that I was going to use as Facebook ads myself around Facebook advertising topics, kind of similar to my current content, but obviously, you know, for then, and, you know, terrible production value and all that sort of stuff, right? So I was just creating these videos for Facebook ads, trying to get new clients, and I was running them as Facebook ads, and they kind of worked a little bit when running them as Facebook ads. And I just sort of put a few of them up on YouTube because I was like, why not, right? I've already made these things. I'm running them as Facebook ads, try and get clients. Why don't I just stick them on YouTube? And it didn't really do anything for a few months. And then I sort of went back through and had a look at some of the views. I may have not even included links to say how they could get in touch or become a lead or anything like that. And I think some of the videos had picked up like a little bit of traction within YouTube. That can happen. And then I popped some links in for people to be able to get in touch and actually become lead and be interested in our services. And then once I did that, I noticed consistently we got a few leads coming through, not massive volumes at all, but something where I was like, I think there's something here. You know, that I'm not doing much work. I'm putting these videos up. Leads are coming through. Also, what I found was that the leads that did come through, they were much more likely to go on to convert because they'd watched my content. They had the trust that I had the expertise to deliver on the service. So they would come through, they'd convert at higher rates. And I thought, there's something here. And then sort of dabbled for 2 years, not realizing what was the potential in my YouTube channel.
Really? Really? Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So you can't, if you go to my YouTube channel now, you won't see any videos published before 2018 because I've taken them all down because they just look awful. They're like no lighting or anything like that, right? So 2 years I was just putting little bits up here and there, not really realizing. And then it was sort of 2018 when I sort of committed to it properly, and, you know, sort of August 2018, that sort of time. And I started uploading consistently. And like anything organic digital marketing related, like it takes a long time to build that audience. So right now I've got 144,000 subscribers on YouTube, but 3 years ago I'd have had 5,000. 3 years ago being, well, what we last day in November right now, 2022. So 3 years ago would have been November, December 2019. I'd have only had, let's say, 5,000 subscribers. So even once I started taking it seriously, it was like really quite slow going at the beginning, but my view to say lead ratio from that was really good. And then with everything that happened in 2020, people spending more time at home and consuming content and starting side hustles and small businesses, and wanting to know how to run Facebook and Instagram ads. That's when my channel started to gain a lot more traction. It was already doing well for our business before, and that's one of the things that allowed us to grow, but it really started gaining traction then. And then I really poured more into it. So that's when I started taking it seriously. I was like, right, we'll get a green screen and do editing, and hired an editor, and then it did really well from there.
Wow! Really, to think it. I would have bet money on you going like, okay, I know this is a strategy, this is gonna work. Calculated beforehand and like, okay, we're gonna go that way and do it. Really impressive to hear that it was like the story behind it, like not accidental, but like very, very underestimated. That's
I think, and I think that's one of the things you asked me earlier was around like what can people do when they're getting started, and that's one of the reasons why I said try everything, because I feel like you might, like, that's what I did. I just tried everything that I could think of to try and get new clients, and there was some stuff I just didn't like and didn't work, or they took so much time that it wasn't worth it, and then other things that like that I just sort of tried a little bit of and it worked, and then I lent into it, and then I went through. So I think try everything, and then also once you've got a little bit of data, take a bit of time and analyze how did that perform, what's going on here, and you might find something like that you go, oh, actually, if we actually look at where our leads are coming from here, 40% of them are coming from this place that we don't put any effort into. If we really double down on that, maybe that would be something that could be a really big thing for us. So so that's how it comes about. And I always try and do that process with every element of my business of like, okay, what's the thing that matters here? What's the needle mover? And then how can we really push into that and go after that some more?
I think that's a very common thread with people who have successful businesses. That's like, in my mindset, it's like natural. And I talk to a lot of people, and it becomes more and more and more something that is like a common thing I hear from people that are successful. Is like, analyze your stuff regularly, and readjust your actions. Trial and error. Try stuff out, analyze what worked, what didn't work, and then readjust where you put your resources. It's like one of the most basic things that reiterated again and again and again and again and again and again and again leads to success. It's like almost impossible to not achieve a goal if you keep that method up. It's really interesting to hear that from your side.
It could not be more important, because I think one of the things that really helped me early on in my business journey was, I said, I was trying to get clients going to a lot of networking groups. And when you do that, you see a lot of people that have had their whatever business for 20 years and they've never really gotten anywhere with it. They just sort of scrape by and make a living, right? So it's a lot of examples of what not to do, looking at a lot of those people. And that can be really helpful. And I just saw so much busy work from those people. They were just doing things that they thought needed to be done and wanted to, made them feel good, made them feel like they were making progress, but didn't actually matter. And if they just stopped and took some time and went, okay, of these 20 things that I'm spending all my time on, I could probably get rid of 19, maybe 18, and just focus on the 2 that matter. And that's so important. I mean, I just have that sort of brain naturally, like it won't switch off. So if I'm driving in the car or in the shower, it's thinking about how to improve things. So that definitely helps. But even if you're not that way inclined, and I've got friends that have businesses that aren't, they will just schedule it, right? So you just go, okay, every Friday morning, I'm taking an hour with no screen, me and a notepad. And I'm just thinking through the elements of what can I improve? Where's the good stuff coming from? What can we double down on, and all that?
Yeah, absolutely. Really. As you said, you can also learn from negative examples. Like, look at them. What did they do? How are they wasting energy and time for stuff that does not move the needle? Because that's the important thing in business. How do you move the needle? Are you effective? That's awesome. Gotta push, because we don't have too much time, and a lot of people told I would be interviewing you. We're curious about your opinion about, I think most likely one of the biggest impacts in this field recently, iOS 14 update.
Yeah.
This and the newer news about the metaverse, Facebook, Instagram, everything tanking a bit. It's like, how do you see the whole field develop in like the next 12 months, 18 months? Do you have anything where so, well, I think it's good for advertising because it will be cheaper. People in a recession, there will be less companies that have marketing budget, or do you think no, it will be worse because there are less customers? Do you have any inclination to say, I assume it will be this way or that way?
There's some good questions there, and of stuff I've thought about so much, right? So if we start with iOS 14, the narrative around Facebook and Instagram advertising massively changed with iOS 14. I I was advertising on the platform in 2013, and from then until the first iOS 14 changes came in January 21, so almost 2 years ago. And before that, we had an inkling that there was going to be some issues. But really, up until then, it was all super positive. Results continued to get better. Everyone was super happy. There were all these success stories coming out about millionaires that were made because of Facebook ads and all that sort of stuff. So it was really positive. And then with the iOS 14 changes, that made things more difficult. And it did lead to a drop-off in results. I think a lot of people think the drop-off in results was actually greater than it was. A lot of the difference was reporting. So if we can't track what iOS users are doing, and we can to some extent, but not completely, then some of those purchases that your Facebook and Instagram ad campaigns are generating are just simply not being registered in your ad account. So results look worse. Now, the people that have been advertising pre the iOS 14 changes were just annoyed. They wanted those old results back, right?
Yeah.
They didn't want to see, let's say, a 15% drop in actual results and a 30% drop in what's being reported. That was not fun. And I understand that. And it was compounded to some extent because just before those iOS 14 changes came into play, we were in lockdown in a lot of the major markets we advertise in. So results were actually artificially good during those times because people were locked at home on their phones, laptops, all that sort of stuff.
Everything,
So the comparison, exactly. So the comparison between those artificially good results and then the drop off from iOS 14 was annoying. We've had long enough now after the iOS 14 changes to have reached like a stable level with that. And it's not ideal, but it's fine. It's basically where I'd sit with that. The other platforms haven't been as affected by similar things as I was expecting. I still think that's going to come. You see, anyone who logs into a Google Analytics account will see that they're retiring Universal Analytics next July, and what's that going to do to tracking for Google ads and YouTube ads and things like that, for example? Well, that's going to have an impact. So there are other things that are going to come into play, and I think other platforms are probably going to get to Facebook's level. They were just sort of hit a little bit earlier with this stuff. So that's sort of fine, and that's stable, and Facebook and Instagram advertising can continue slightly impaired from what it was previously, but that's just life, right? Doesn't mean it can't work really well for businesses, and we've got hundreds of clients that are still generating great results.
I think a lot of agencies and companies also absolutely underutilized the on-platform retargeting with organic content and stuff and like that, like doing a video for 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then targeting the people that looked at this video for more than 50%, for example, because it's a boring video about a topic, highly specific. So people who watch this for a few minutes are very likely to take this topic seriously, or to be into this kind of topic. That was, in my opinion, what I saw, massively underutilized.
I agree, and that's a shift that we made as an agency, and lots of people have made. Is okay, if we can't rely as much on off-platform activity to be able to retarget, and also for source audiences for things like lookalike audiences. Okay, well, let's keep people then on platform and do a lot of that. So you can find creative ways to do a lot of the same things and get that data. More and more advertisers have switched from generating leads via their website to leads within Facebook via what's now called instant forms. So there's ways of doing that, and it's not ideal, but it just is what it is. Just like it wasn't ideal that Facebook ads became more popular over let's say from 2015 to 2019, and the costs were increasing because there was more competition. That wasn't ideal either, but doesn't mean it can't work, and it's just something you got to live with. So the other thing that you asked was around the recent news around Meta, and we saw in Q3 that they had a significant drop in profitability. And publicly traded company, they need to disclose all that information. And if you dig into the numbers of it, which I have, you'll see that revenue's relatively consistent, down a touch when you compare quarter to quarter, year over year. But these fluctuations happen. Anyone that owns a business will say, these fluctuations happen. The reason why profitability dropped so much was because they have been investing a ton of resources into the metaverse. So they've been hiring lots and lots of very expensive people in order to build that. And that's led to a big drop in profitability. That led to Mark Zuckerberg making the comments around, we're going to lay off the 11,000 people or so, because obviously he wants to increase that profitability back up. Now, just a little metaverse aside, I don't think that's a great bet for Meta. I think it'd be much better off focusing on their cash cows, which is Facebook and Instagram, and improving that platform for both users and advertisers, because you need both. That's really important. But just in terms of how this affects advertisers, that announcement, advertisers are reacting to the news like they are investors in Meta, and they're not. So the share price, which is going to be dictated by things like profitability, is going to drop. That's bad if you're invested. But if you're an advertiser, that doesn't affect you. What affects you as an advertiser is the number of users. So the day that I get worried about the viability of Facebook and Instagram advertising going forward is when the number of users start to drop dramatically. When we start seeing really big drops in that, that's when I'm worried. Provided the users are there, there's always going to be value to advertisers, because at the end of the day, that's all you're really buying with Facebook and Instagram ads. You're buying eyeballs, you're buying attention. And then it's your job as an advertiser to convince those people to go ahead and convert that ad copy, creative, all that sort of stuff. But you're buying attention. So actually, ironically, I think this sort of news is positive for most advertisers, because some advertisers are going to see that. They're going to act like investors, which they shouldn't, but they will. They're going to leave, or people who are starting their businesses thinking where to advertise will think, well, I won't advertise there. Instead, I'm going to advertise on something like TikTok, because that's the new up and comer. And that's going to reduce the number of advertisers. The cost of Facebook ads is set by an auction. So the less competition, the cheaper it is. So those of us that are going to stick around on the platform, we should see cheaper CPMs, and we absolutely are already seeing that. So if you compare this Black Friday that just ended to previous year's Black Friday, the CPMs were definitely lower. We've seen numbers reported as high as, say, 50% lower on Facebook. The discrepancy rate between last year and this year on Instagram is smaller than that. It seems like actual ads on Facebook have had a bit more of a hit, but that could be good for advertisers. Is it good for agencies? Probably not, because you want there to be tons and tons and tons of businesses wanting to advertise on the platform, because that's more services. But then on the flip side of that, maybe you'll have higher retention with your clients because they're getting better results. So with agencies, it's maybe a little bit negative, but not too bad. For actual businesses, people running ads for their company, wanting to sell products and services, I think the bad news is a net positive.
And there is a very, very, very important part that you are mentioning in a few of your videos that is, in my opinion, or just my humble opinion, I can always only speak out of the way I experience stuff, is undervalued in most other channels or advice. And that's why I got hooked on you, honestly, was you concentrated and were honest about the offer has to be good. The ad is the ad. You can have nice creative, you can all of that, good copy, you can have the best strategies, retargeting, the best funnel, complicated or easy, and so on. The offer and the product has to be generally good, because no matter what you do, if the offer is bad, then why should a customer buy it? And it was something so basic and honest that is so completely overlooked by a huge load of people. I don't know why. And so I would like just to give you a bit of time frame here to like reiterate that, to tell the customer, and not the customers, my audience and people, like, how did you get to that point where you realized, hey man, the offer is important? And how do you try, or do you try at all, to give your customers and clients like feedback on, is that a good offer or not?
Yeah, definitely. We work on that a lot, because it's just so important. It doesn't matter how bad your ad campaign is. If you've got a fantastic offer, it will sell. Like the classic example would be if I'm giving away $20 notes for $10, that doesn't matter how bad your targeting is or your ad create. It could be the worst little image ever. It's going to work really well, right? Whereas the inverse, it just doesn't work. It doesn't matter how beautiful your ad creative is. If the offer, what people are getting at the end of the day, is not good, then it's just not going to work. And I think the reason why people have this attitude towards something like Facebook ads, and they just think, why aren't I getting customers, is they don't necessarily see it as advertising to real people. There's a disconnect where they almost look at it like a video game. and they think that it's, you know, computer units that are taking action. Like, no, these are real people on the other end of it. So I've had lots of conversations with clients over the years where they'll say something like, oh, we didn't have very good results this weekend. And let's say they're in a country like the UK, right? And they're selling something that is summer related. Could be sunglasses or flip-flops. I mean, we've worked with like every business you can imagine at this point. And they'll have really bad results over a weekend, and it'll be, let's say, June. And you go, well, you know, it rained all Saturday and all Sunday, right? And they sort of look at you and go, that hadn't crossed their mind. And I think that's because they're not thinking of this as you're advertising to real people. So if someone sat there inside on their phone and it's raining outside, they're going, I'm not buying any sunglasses or flip-flops. Whereas if it was really hot and they were too hot in their regular shoes, or they got their old flip-flops out and they'd fallen apart, they need a new pair, that makes a big difference. I think that there's that disconnect between the fact that you are advertising to real people and real world events affect them. And that comes into the offer, because if you start thinking, okay, I'm advertising to a real person, what would a real person go ahead and sign up for here? Because is what I'm offering great, or can they just go over to Amazon and find a better product for like $10 cheaper, which is often the case when ads don't succeed, is because they can just go over to Amazon and find something better. You have to offer something that a real person would say, that's a great deal.
I gotta say, man, that's so powerful. That's so wow, because now that I think about it, after you said it, I think really many people and many customers and clients that I talk to absolutely work under that premise. Like, okay, I'm throwing it out into the digital space, and I pay something, and I want to get X money return. And they also forget stuff like, you know, there's only a finite number of customers you have. It's like, for example, it was a private example with a band. It was like, guys, if you do marketing and you do ads and everything, it will work. You will get people to know about you, but you will burn your brand because you're just not good yet. You're not good. And if it's a small market for a niche music scene, it's like, if you make a million people listen to your music now and your music sucks, it will be hard to convince them in 6 months to come to your concert. Like, that's also a thought that you need to think of to get your brand together, to get your product well. It's like, I didn't think of it as an offer, but more like, there's nothing worse than having a bad product that many, many, many people know about.
Yeah.
Because once it's out that you're shit, then it's really hard to convince anyone to buy anymore. So sometimes it's better to concentrate on upgrading a product or service or something before you start all of that marketing. Or what I try is like, do the marketing, and we want to get better, so we need customers to get feedback or something like that.
And that's fine. You just got to do it on a small scale, right? You can't then just blow it up immediately. But you're dead right. And the same applies to agencies. It's like, when the way I started, and I recommend a lot of people start, is you get that $250 a month client, because when you're getting started, you don't want a client that's like, here you go, our budget is 100 grand a month, off you go. That's terrifying. You might waste that. You might not know what you're doing. You need experience to deal with that sort of stuff. So you're starting small. It's a similar sort of process. Run some campaigns, get a bit of customer feedback, and then actually do the work to improve your offer. And there are easy ways to improve offers as well. Like, how are you going to beat your competition? One of the easiest ways for a lot of small businesses is just like, smash customer service. Like, just be way better than the big company, because that's easy. They're terrible with their phone systems, things like that. Get it done in half the time. You know, there are simple, cost-effective ways to really improve an offer. Get it done in half the time is a great example.
I remember for freelancers or agencies, often, or like the feedback I personally got and that I gave is like, don't let the customer client wait 2 or 3 days before he gets an email back from you. If you manage it to get an email back on the same day, you'll have an unbelievable upscale, because people want to feel like, hey, they're there for me. Even if the email is just, listen, we look into it, I'm gonna call you tomorrow. Just like that. That's enough to like already be way ahead of the others. Just something like, for example, that I experienced. Would say we got it wrapped up. Anything important you want to tell my audience anymore, or?
No, not particularly. You know, if people are interested in finding out more about me and my business, it's my name, Ben Heath, on all the social channels. YouTube be the best place. And if you're interested in Facebook ads, Instagram ads, digital marketing, that's a good place to get info. So I just say go check that out.
Thank you very, very much. Of course, I will add a little like 5
Sure.
minutes to present your page and everything. It was an honor and a pleasure to talk with you. It was
Awesome.
great. I would send you all the extra materials once I've got it edited.
Yeah.
And thank you very, very, very much. It was
No
a
problem.
pleasure.
No, it was fun doing it. I'm doing a lot more of these sorts of things now. So
Okay.
I've decided, I haven't done for years. I've said no to everything, but now I've decided it's time. So yeah.
Honor once more. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, Fazila. Thanks, mate.
So, short form social video, how brands win attention and drive connection in seconds, by MSIF, written by Alyssa Windle. All right, interesting topic. Of course, everybody wants to go into short form video. It's like the holy grail of marketing, it seems, for everyone. I've got a few data points that would say, but other stuff works too, especially for ads. Blogs are still active, text is still active. There are people, long form content on YouTube works very well depending on what you do. So, but I'm also always curious. Again, short form social video, how brands win attention and drive connection in seconds. Let's go through it. The design is not to my liking, because when I go in like I do for me right now, yeah, let's erase this. Yeah. Yeah, looks much better. Now we've got enough space to read stuff. So, people spend more than half of the time on social platforms watching videos, and brands are prioritizing short-form social videos within the strategy. Why? Short-form videos on social are engaging and entertaining, showing your brand personality, educating your audience, and creating personal connections with consumers. Bringing in high ROI, brands are doubling down, with video now accounting for over half of all US social network ad revenues. Through video, we're going to take a look at that. Through video, brands can build strong, authentic connections, person by person, within social spaces that are still growing. In a world of endless scrolling, shrinking attention spans, and instant gratification, short-form videos have emerged as the ultimate tool for brand storytelling. Here, I'm not sure if that's completely the truth. I've seen too many contradicting information, like how well over an hour-long information video on YouTube works, like deep dive into stuff and so on. So it's not just so everything has to be short. I don't ascribe to that, but let's go on. Whether it's a 50-second TikTok, a 30-second Instagram reel, or a quick YouTube short, these bite-sized pieces of content are revolutionizing the way brands connect with the audiences. And if your brand isn't already on board, here's why it's time to catch up. For example, especially this TikTok and the short form. Famous example, Alex Hormozy. I think almost everybody knows Alex Hormozy. He also says, well, for his target audience, the long form YouTube content works better. Those are the ones who, if he's on a like airplane, like anywhere, not the airplane, like the place where the airplanes start and land. What's where the airplanes land? I just forgot it right now. The English term for it. Airport. At the airport. That's it. When people see him at the airport, it's like people who consume the long form content are like, oh, hey, Alex Hormozy, you're the one from acquisition.com. I love your content about XYZ. While people who know him from the short form content are more like, hey, you're the guy with the X. You're the guy who they don't even quite know his name or remember his name, because it's such a short form content, just scrolling absent-mindedly. So it's very interesting to consider how much real awareness for your brand do you get, and how much you can funnel it into long-standing conversions. Just saying. Well, of course, there's many other takes where it works a lot. So I just want to don't just jump into it, okay? Here's what to know about short-form social videos, including creative best practices, how to plan your media, and which platforms consumers are flocking to next. Okay? Grab attention within the first few seconds. They succeed To succeed in short-form video, brands must grab attention instantly. The rule of thumb cited by Meta is 3 seconds, but in reality, it's even shorter. There needs to be something compelling enough in those first moments to get someone to stop scrolling and give you their attention. Whether it's a bold visual, intriguing question, or unexpected moment, the hook must spark curiosity or provoke an emotional response. Once you've managed to stop them, the next step is to keep them engaged for those crucial few seconds. Tailoring your approach to each platform is essential. Use bold visuals on TikTok, sleek and polished designs on Instagram Reels, and searchable intros on YouTube Shorts. Each platform has its own rhythm, and understanding what catches users' attention within the first fraction of a second can make all the difference in driving engagement. Key takeaway: brand needs to capture attention within the first few 3 seconds of a video. Action item: start with strong visuals and clear value propositions tailored to each platform to ensure viewers don't scroll past. Use storytelling to connect, not just sell. Video is an ideal way to foster the connections that people are actively seeking out on the social media, especially when short-form content prioritizes storytelling and engagement over sales. The mantra, less sales, more story, is often echoed by creators for a reason. This applies across all content, organic and paid. When you tie the value of your products or services to the needs and interests of your audience, you strengthen their loyalty and engagement, seamlessly integrating your short video ads into the content they are already consuming. But your video content needs to go beyond communicating your top selling points. Video and social media in general gives brands the opportunity to make the target consumer feel seen, understood, and truly resonated with. When you demonstrate a deep understanding of who your audience is, what motivates them, and how they communicate, that authenticity builds trust. And that trust, paired with the value your brand offers, sells the product naturally. Key takeaway: short form videos should tell a compelling story that builds connections and community, not just sell a product. For B2B brands, this means moving beyond corporate speak to stories that reflect real challenges, use relatable language, and show genuine understanding of the audience. Here it's really important to consider, I don't know why, I mean, I know why, but often B2B content is way too sterile. Instead, really consider, what are your clients doing? What is the problem they are facing? What is their daily reality of working? What are the solutions that you can offer them? All of that should be communicated in the content nicely, like in a way that they identify with. Storytelling should build trust and make your brand feel human. Action item: create videos that engage viewers emotionally by using storytelling and blending seamlessly with platform content. For B2B brands, this means showing real customer challenges, relatable workflows, and everyday wins, similar to how tools like Asana or Sprout Social bring the solutions to life. Make your audience feel understood, not just marketed to. Use your audience insights to prioritize the channels where your best consumers are already spending time. Prioritize the most consumed platforms in your media planning and buying. Nationally, adults have been shifting with audiences spending significant time on platforms like TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts. Brands must create short-form content to reach a wider and more engaged demographic. This is also something. Consider always testing the stuff and seeing what changes over time. For example, TikTok is a very young platform. I heard that 4 years ago, and 2 years ago when I looked up the statistic, it was like over 30 to 40% of the users were over 35. Okay? Stay hydrated. Always drink your water. Leverage audience insights to gain a more holistic picture of where your audience is spending their time and where they're being influenced. Additionally, explore content format, tone, and messaging to understand what resonates most with your target segments. Short-form videos play a crucial role in the customer journey, building brand trust, demonstrating value, and driving direct action. Cross-promoting these videos across channels further amplifies the reach. Interesting. Give me a second. Our stats are bad. Interesting. Cross-promoting these videos across channels further amplifies the reach. Key takeaway: Short-form video is essential for reaching audiences already engaging with platforms like TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts. Action item. Cross-promote videos through other channels to maximize visibility and engagement. Okay. Optimize your content for vertical and mobile-first viewing. Given that most short-form videos are watched on mobile devices, design them to suit the quick scrolling habits of users. Videos optimized for mobile with large copy and bold visuals tend to perform better, especially when subtitles are included for sound-off viewing. This is one of the most important things, the subtitles. Add captions. If you go around, you will see a lot of people, really a lot of people in public transport, during breaks, in the restaurant, while waiting for the food or whatever. Many of them don't listen to the audio of the video. So if you don't have subtitles, captions, it will immediately swipe away. Immediately. Captions are a must. Key takeaway, elements like vertical video format, subtitles, bold visuals, and large copy can maximize your impact. Action item. Focus on ideas that resonate with your audience rather than high budget production, and experiment with posting multiple times a week. Design your videos to work even without sound. It's common for people to watch short form videos without audio. Just as I said, didn't I? I said it. Consider how you can make your videos impactful even with the sound off. Incorporating clear, concise, closed captioning is essential, and editable captions can be useful in multi-language campaigns. Key takeaway, create videos that deliver impact without needing sound to engage your audience. Action item, focus on visuals and text-based storytelling to capture attention even with the sound off. Humanize your brand with employee interviews and social takeovers. Short-form videos provide an opportunity for brands to connect with the audience through authentic, human-centered content. Featuring real voices from employees or brand partners can foster deeper connections and enhance credibility. This is especially important on platforms like TikTok and Instagram, where users are actively seeking out authentic opinions and voices. I don't know why Snapchat is completely being ignored here. Like, Snapchat should not be ignored like this. Really, it should not be. Should not be ignored. Snapchat has a lot of young demographic. It works well for ads, works really well. The return of investment on Snapchat is awesome. Really, really awesome. Like, I don't think that you should completely ignore those aspects. Okay? Just my opinion. I recently even went through, let me just show it. Yeah. There you can see it. Where's that video? On my channel, just if you're curious about it, e-commerce ad spend efficiency on Snapchat. New research from Triple Whale. New study shows Snapchat is best for e-commerce ads. Really interesting. So I'm a bit sad that this whole article ignores Snapchat completely, but it still applies. All of the things still are correct and apply. Key takeaway, short form video give brands a chance to show the human side, building deeper connections with the audience. Action item, feature real voices from inside the company, employees, partners, or clients to strengthen authenticity and credibility. Let your audience speak for you with user-generated content. User-generated content, UGC, helps viewers feel and build an authentic connection with brands. Integrating UGC into your strategy is a powerful way to connect with your audience. You can do this by replicating top-performing content from each platform, collaborating with trusted influencers, and repurposing content shared by your loyal customers. Key takeaway, UGC creates authenticity and fosters trust with your audience. Action items, encourage and incorporate UGC into your short-form strategy to build trust and deepen your connection with your community. Next, collaborate with, that's also really interesting. This, make people create stuff and then use that for yourself, share it, and so on. There's many things that you can do. Collaborate with creators who align with your brand goals. As the line between brand and creator content becomes increasingly blurred, it's important to have a strategic approach to collaborations. A results-driven program that aligns with both the organic and paid efforts ensures the content creators produce videos that meet your business objectives. Key takeaway, influencer and creator partnerships should be aligned with your business goals for maximum impact. Action item, choose influencers and creators who understand your brand and can produce content that complements both your paid and organic strategies. Here, to add a little bit, analyze the influencer if what they do matches your brand, and then if it does, give them free roaming on what to do. You should not tell the influencer and the creator in minutia what they have to do. Like, okay, I understand a general stuff, like we want X posts, we want this, and please consider this are the benefits of our product, and we want 3 videos or something like that. Okay. But in general, when it comes to the creative, leave it up to the influencers and the content creator, because they know what their audience likes and they know what will work the best. And if their audience is not the right one for you, and if how they usually do content is not the right one for you, don't collaborate with them. Don't try to make them do stuff that does not fit their usual stuff. Really, I've seen it quite a few times. I completely don't understand it. That's on you as a brand to research what is this influencer like. Create content that feels native to each platform. To strengthen connections with your best customers, design short videos that feel natural in the social environment. Create content that aligns with the platform's format, style, and audience behavior. For example, TikTok thrives on casual, spontaneous videos with trending sounds and quick edits, while YouTuber Shorts leans more towards content that feels like a more polished mini educational video. Tailor your content to the specific platform and audience, ensuring it aligns with the expectations and preferences. Key takeaway, make your videos feel native to each platform to strengthen your brand's connection with customers. Action item, ensure your video content fits seamlessly into the social experience while still showcasing your brand's unique value. Tell quick stories that keep viewers coming back. Short form videos are ideal for delivering bite-sized narratives that build over time, fostering engagement through micro storytelling. A recurring series can drive high engagement by maintaining consistency and making it easy for followers to return for more. Platforms reward this kind of storytelling, making serial formats especially effective. Key takeaway, short-form content works best when you deliver compelling bite-sized narratives over time. Action item, create a series of micro tips or stories that build on each other, encouraging return engagements from viewers. Jump on trends to increase your reach where they make sense for your brand. The viral potential of short-form video lies in their quick, shareable nature, especially when they tap into trends and platform-specific challenges. Striking the right balance between creativity and brand consistency increases the likelihood of virality. Staying updated with trending sounds, formats, and challenges is key to creating content that resonates. Key takeaway, short-form videos are highly shareable and have great viral potential when aligned with trends. Action items, use native features like on-screen text, trending audio, and interactive CTAs like Tag a Friend or Save for Later to boost engagement. Produce content quickly without sacrificing impact. Short-form content is a cost-effective way to create frequent content that feels authentic and real. Brands can engage with audiences with minimal production, focusing on quality ideas rather than polished execution. Use tools like templates, stock footage, or user-generated context to streamline the process while still delivering value. Regularly posting and testing off different styles, such as casual behind-the-scenes clips, quick tips, or raw, unfiltered content helps maintain visibility. Key takeaway, short-form content can be produced quickly and cost-effectively without sacrificing authenticity. Action items, focus on ideas that resonate with your audience rather than high-budget production. Experiment with posting multiple times a week. Exactly. In German, I recently was a co-author of a book, and the whole chapter that I wrote was just about how you can systematize improvisation. How you can allow your department to be quick and flexible to react to trends while being systematically and knowing what is allowed and what not. It's really I should do a webinar in English. If you want me to do a webinar about this for free in English, leave a comment below. So, action item. Focus on ideas that resonate with your audience rather than high-budget products. Experiment with posting multiple times a week. Smarter short-form video strategy starts with better audience understanding. As brands continue to spend more time watching short-form videos on their favorite platforms, brands, I think this should be audience continues, but brands need to prioritize short-form and vertical video content. But before you start to create these videos, it's critical to understand your consumers' pain points and how they intersect with your key selling points. By connecting your online and offline data, you can build a clearer picture of your key consumers' behaviors and preferences. With that in mind, ask yourself, is your video strategy going to pair and resonate with these insights? The smartest approach to social content is one that's rooted in ongoing learning, testing different styles, measuring engagement, and evolving your strategy to stay in tune with what your audience connects with. I think there should be in tune. Short form video creation tips. No volume needed. No volume, I would say high volume needed because you should test as much as possible. Easy closed captioning, very important. Repurpose great user-generated content, share your brand experience and expertise, run a results-led influencer program, take advantage of the right trends, collaborate with creators. A results-led B2B and B2C strategy includes strategy, I think that's again a typo. Do we see more typos in articles nowadays because they want to prove, oh, we are not written by AI and LLM? Is that something that's happening? Just my little tinfoil explanation. A results-led B2B and B2C strategy includes creating and maximizing engaging, actionable, creative, and content for the right social platforms. Ultimately, is your brand reaching, interacting, and activating the people who could become loyalists? If your brand doesn't know who to reach out to, how to connect with them, and how to consume their favorite media, you're not realizing the full potential of your marketing performance. One-on-one connections that create your best customers are rooted in holistic audience science, developing and building a community of the perfect people for your products. Smarter social campaigns are only part of a data-centric, performance-driven strategy, giving you the power to know and do more. Dig deeper into how to improve your cross-channel cohesion, or let's talk about how to achieve more for your marketing and your business. Okay, nice article. I think it covered a few good basics again. Let's see, Alyssa Windle is on LinkedIn. Okay, Director of Media Strategy and Planning. Cool. I think we can connect with people who have good stuff and we can give them positive feedback. I think that's really something that we could do, that is all right to do. Also for you guys, of course, you can always connect with me on all kinds of social media, be it Twitter, X, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you want. Look at my name. Oh, the internet is slow. Why is it so slow? Well, sorry, Lisa, I wanted to show your handle, but it's really, really extremely slow. There it is. You can find me, message, follow. Yep, there we go. I cannot connect. That's weird. That is weird. Why can't I connect? Okay, well, then not. Then there's nothing I can do about this. Well, such is life. Alyssa Windle, still good article. MSIF has, I found a few good articles on their pages. I'll link to it below in the description and share it in the chat right now. And with that, the next article is done. If you like what I do, if you want to support me doing this, if you want me to jump into the different articles, add a bit of information, my knowledge, put it all into connection with other stuff that I've already went through or experimented on and my experience and so on, and the articles and so much more, consider supporting this channel. Like it, follow, subscribe to it. These are a few clicks there for free. It costs you absolutely nothing, but gives me a tremendous support and shows me that you want me to keep doing what I'm doing. And with that, I'm going to jump right into the next article. Wish you all the very, very best.
Hello, today I've got as a guest for the interview Olaf Sorensson. people, today I've got,
as I said, my mum's interior design
article is kind of a one. LLM-induced psychosis, a new clinical pattern we need to understand. Written by Michael Halasser. Interesting books on Substack.com. He's got his own page. When conversational AI becomes a clinical concern. I personally think this is a very interesting topic to jump right into. So let's go. Let me go like this. Yeah, we're going to erase that immediately. I don't like you. Yep. Good. Because I want to have it all. I'll scroll in and then it's like the menu. I dislike it. I hope it's big enough for all of you to see properly. Yeah. Okay. Let's go on. When I first encountered reports of people developing psychotic symptoms after extended conversations with large language models, I was skeptical. Perhaps underlying vulnerabilities may emerge coincidentally alongside chatbot use. But over recent weeks, my perspective has shifted dramatically. Over the past weekend, I spoke to a colleague in New York who's treating a patient whose psychosis appears directly linked to structured, prolonged interactions with an LLM. This patient had no psychiatric history and the delusional content mirrors their conversations with the system. The pattern is becoming clearer and it's troubling. People spend hours, often late into the night, in dialogue with a system that never challenges them, never disagrees, never says, let me think about it differently. The chatbot becomes a guide, a confidant, eventually something approaching the supernatural. From the outside, it appears bizarre. But if you've worked with psychosis, you recognize the familiar architecture, the gradual consolidation of unusual beliefs, the way coincidences transform into signals, the erosion of doubt as the new framework becomes self-reinforcing. Wow, that's the reinforcement problem. The mechanism appears to involve what researchers call sycophancy, the tendency of LLMs to agree with users and provide pleasant responses. Tengaman 2025a. The systems are trained to generate responses that users will find most appealing on average. For someone exploring unusual ideas, this creates a dangerous feedback loop. The cognitive dissonance between knowing you're talking to a computer while experiencing realistic conversation may fuel delusions in those with increased psychosis propensity. Ostergaard 2023. The mystery of how these systems work, their black box nature, provides additional material for paranoid speculation. Ooh, that's interesting. That's recent reports document people developing grandiose delusions after AI told them they were chosen or special. Others report paranoid beliefs reinforced by chatbots that entertain conspiracy theories. CLE 2025. In documented cases, people have lost jobs, destroyed relationships, and been involuntarily committed to psychiatric facilities after becoming fixated on AI-generated content. Tengaman 2025b. One user became convinced he could commune with God through ChatGPT, giving himself the title Spiral Star Child and River Walker. The Brink 2025. Man, that sounds crazy. The neural substrate, disconnection and internal drive. What's happening with some LLM users fits a familiar pattern, but the trigger is novel. The vulnerability exists across the population on a spectrum. Traditional delusional systems might send on radio signals or hidden devices, passive phenomena that don't respond. Conversational AI is fundamentally different. It engages, elaborates, and reinforces. The key insight comes from understanding how beliefs normally stay flexible. In healthy brains, external inputs that challenge or contradict our internal models help keep the systems calibrated. When these corrective signals are absent, as happens with constant AI reinforcement, the system becomes disconnected from the inputs that would normally maintain a less committed state, which is also the reason why blocking people is so dangerous. Yes, it is unpleasant, but that unpleasantness of having to experience people who have other opinions, even if they are crap opinions, still keeps you grounded mentally. So the more likely you are to block, it's often the more likely you are to have or develop mental issues. Recent work provides critical evidence about the circuits involved. Analysis of brain lesions that cause psychosis revealed that damage to diverse brain regions all mapped to a common circuit centered in the hippocampus, specifically the posterior subiculum, Venus et al. 2025. This finding suggests that psychotic experiences emerge when hippocampal circuits generate unconstrained internal inputs that feed into frontal regions where strategies and belief are represented. This tells us something general about psychosis. It may result from hippocampal circuits running in a kind of rerunning mode, generating internal content that gets treated as if it were external reality by downstream frontal systems. Lieberman et al. 2018. When external constraints are removed, whether by brain lesions or potentially by prolonged interaction with systems that never disagree, the hippocampus may begin feeding increasingly aberrant signals to prefrontal regions responsible for belief formation and behavioral planning. For someone already prone to unusual interpretations, LLM interactions could exacerbate this disconnection. Each response that builds on their internal model provides another signal that the interpretation might be correct, while the absence of disagreement removes the natural constraints that would normally keep beliefs tentative and revisable. Clinical implications. For those of us treating patients, this phenomenon demands attention. Some legal advocates report hearing from more than a dozen people in recent months who experienced psychotic breaks or delusional episodes related to AI engagement, also 2025. We need to expand our assessments beyond traditional risk factors to include digital interactions. The cases are not uniformly in people with pre-existing psychiatric conditions. One documented case involved a man in his early 40s with no prior mental health history who developed paranoid delusions of grandiosity after using ChatGPT for work tasks, Tengaman 2025a. This suggests that acute stress combined with intensive AI interaction may precipitate psychotic episodes in previously healthy individuals. Man, imagine that, getting your brain fried by having to work too much with an LLM. From a circuit perspective, this makes sense. Stress can dysregulate dopamine signaling in the basal ganglia, reduce prefrontal cortical control, and alter thalamic filtering, Sonnenschein et al. 2020. In this compromised state, the constant reinforcement from an AI system could tip vulnerable individuals into frank psychosis. Research priorities. We need systemic study of this phenomenon. Current evidence remains largely anecdotal, but the pattern is consistent enough to warrant investigation. Recent research has already shown that AI chatbots struggle to detect mental health emergencies and often provide harmful information to users experiencing mania or psychosis. Key questions, Grab and Lampert 2024. Key questions include: what are the specific conversation patterns that precede psychotic episodes? How does the timing and duration of AI interaction influence risk? Are there early warning signs that could prompt intervention? Most importantly, can we identify biomarkers or behavioral indicators that predict vulnerability? From a mechanistic standpoint, we need to understand how AI-generated content interacts with the neural circuits underlying belief formation. This might involve neuroimaging studies comparing brain activity patterns during human versus AI conversations, or examining how different types of AI responses affect neural markers of certainty and belief updating. Really quite an interesting idea. So, how many people are still critical in their mind when they use LLM and get the feedback? Really interesting. Moving forward, we should be aware without panicking. If you're seeing patients, it's worth asking not only about sleep and substance use, but also about the digital interactions. How much time do they spend with AI systems? What topics do they discuss? Have they developed strong emotional attachments to these systems? If you're building these systems, consider whether constant affirmation serves users well. The drive to maximize engagement may conflict with psychological safety, particularly for vulnerable individuals, Vason 2025. This intersection of neuroscience and artificial intelligence offers a unique window into how our brains construct reality. The same circuits that enable us to navigate complex social environments and update our understanding of the world may be exploited by systems designed to be maximally engaging. Understanding this dynamic goes beyond clinical importance. It's essential for designing AI systems that enhance rather than undermine human flourishing. The phenomenon of LLM-induced psychosis represents more than a technological side effect. It's a natural experiment in how belief systems form and become entrenched. By studying it carefully, we can deepen our understanding of both psychosis and the profound ways that artificial intelligence is reshaping human cognition. If you've encountered similar cases in your practice or research, I welcome hearing about them. This is a rapidly evolving area where clinical observation and scientific investigation must proceed hand in hand. References, different articles. As usual, you can find it in the really interesting tape. Really interesting. Yeah, some people are so trusting, they believe everything they hear, they take it as gospel. And here I think it's really important to understand how critical we have to be of AI. It's just a statistical calculator that says, hey, this is what is most likely to be the response to what you said. It does not analyze if it's true or not. That is really, really important to understand. And I think in the marketing agency, we'll have to really consider quite a few things here, because the parasocial relationship, wow, this is hardcore. If I remember, let me just. Some people got first time, for example, positive feedback. Yeah, no, I won't find it right now. Sadly, I don't find it. It was like, it was really, really, really sad, because it was from Sam Altman, dedicating how a lot of us are annoyed about the LLM being way too, hey, you're so awesome, you're so intelligent, you're so great, and so on and so on and so on. But some of them really had sad stories to tell, like, oh, this is the first time that I've had any positive feedback. This is the first time someone said something nice to me. I'm just looking if I can find it or not. I think I'm not finding it right now, sadly. I'm realizing I'm posting way more than I thought I'm doing. Wow. Quite a lot of shit posting of mine, huh? Yeah, quite a bit. Sam Altman. Come on. Where's the Sam Altman? Nope. Yep. There. That's it. There. Sam. Hold me. Go in so you can see it better. Come. There we go. Where is it? There. There we go. Sam Altman says some users want ChatGPT to be a yes man because they've never had anyone support them before. And then the quote was, but as we've been making those changes and talking to users about it, it's so sad to hear users say, please, can I have it back? I've never had anyone in my life be supportive of me. I never had a parent tell me I was doing a good job. Now, that is dangerous, in my opinion. And a lot of marketers will take advantage of that. Like, how can you not? How can you not? Some companies and brands can use this for dangerous stuff. Like, oh, if I can hook the people to my brand like that, create an AI interface for them, like have your own unique person to talk to, your own avatar that will be this lovely to you, this great, this girlfriend like, or whatever. Like, man, that will fry quite a few brains. That's going to be dangerous. That's really going to be dangerous. Well, As usual, the link to the article will be below in the description. If you like what I do, if you enjoy me going through such articles, sharing some additional information, sharing it all with you, please consider supporting this channel. Give a like, follow it, or subscribe to it. Whatever you can do. It's just 1 or 2 clicks for you. It means tremendously a lot to me because it gives me a signal that I am supposed, that you want me to keep doing these kind of things. And with that, I'm going to jump into right into the next article. With that, wish you all the very, very best. To the next article for today. See? So, and with that, I would be. It should be there. And with that, the first live session of today is finished because I need a little break. It's 8:30 a.m. where I live. I need like a little breakfast. Worked a few hours already. Now it's time for me to take a little break. I'll be back online in. I can promise. I've got a meeting too. So like in 1 hour, 1.5 hours, and then I'll be right back with all of you. Okay. Until then, wish you all the very, very best.